Sorry about that. Apparently my son decided to call and it stopped that previous video and I'm too lazy to start over. Anyway, so if we go back to Zach's chapter 1. Remember, we are synthesizing information, and when you synthesize, that means that you're going to take information from multiple sources and synthesize it down into a usable content. So let me just look at, I just want to highlight this first sentence, or this first part of his. Can't remember if I can get this. Okay, so I just highlighted basically that first paragraph. So Zach starts out, regular physical activity is foundational of human health, yada, yada, yada. Formulated from a range of well-conducted studies, physical activity people tend to elicit higher levels of health-related fitness, a lower risk of profile for developing a number of disabling medical conditions, and lower rates of various chronic diseases than do people who are inactive. Now you will realize, or you will notice, that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 citations just on that one sentence. This is the crux of synthesis. All of those articles stated in one form or the other that information. And so what he did, he successfully took the main points of what those articles said regarding physical activity, and these are all all articles that research the same thing, and he was able to synthesize that down into one really strong sentence. But he cited all of them. So you've got to be able to know your content or know your articles enough and know the research enough to where you can say, yes, this guy said this guy also said this, and these folks also said this. And so rather than saying this 3 different times, you simply put together a really strong argument and you cite all of those sources. That is synthesis. And I want you to pay attention as you read his chapters, how many direct quotes he actually uses in his work. A synthesis shouldn't be riddled with direct quotes, because that's just quoting what the people are saying. Synthesis really is you taking what they've written, putting it in your own words, and writing the paper, and then giving the authors the credit for that information. Now, the big crux of this week's discussion board is going to be your ability to identify what the assumptions, delimitations, limitations, your research questions, and your operational definitions will be for this project. And so when we talk about, and I think, I think I need to look down here to see if I forgot anything else. When you write this regarding a synthesis, let me scroll back up to the assumptions. You're making these assumptions based off of the articles, off of your research, off of the data you're collecting through the research. So your assumptions need to be related to the studies, related to your examination. So you'll notice here it's assumed that all subjects in the articles were honest in following necessary protocols. One of the big limitations of self-reported studies is that people can be dishonest when they report the results, when they answer the questions. And so it's assumed that they're going to be honest. And so you want to be thinking about what those assumptions are going to be for your topic. You also need to talk about what the delimitations are. Those are the parameters that you are setting, as well as the limitations and your operational definitions. Now, these operational definitions found in literature are not just your definition of various terms. It's going to be the definitions that you're using that you found in the literature. So each one of these has a citation. And so it's not just your understanding of what exercise barriers are. Here it states, exercise barriers are described as demotivators, non-adherence of or termination of exercise. Can also be described as an excuse to top exercise. So, and then there's a citation for it. So it's not just your understanding, it's the understanding that and the definition that those authors have used for that. Okay? So this week, you're just working on your chapter 1. When you get to when you go to your discussion post, your peers should be giving you feedback on the clarity of your chapter, how well it reads, whether or not you're using a lot of jargon or words that are hard to understand. This should not be an attempt to prove how smart you are and how big of words you can use, but rather it should be talking in a straightforward manner, but not using a lot of colloquialisms at the same time. That's conversational type writing. So get away from, hey, I have to script a lesson plan and talk and script like I'm going to say it. This is more academic, but we don't want you to sound like a smarty pants to the extent that it's going to be hard to understand what you're saying. Okay? So this will be your focus for the week. Get this chapter posted by Friday, and then with your initial post, and then use the weekend to give the feedback. Your the drop boxes for the week are up, so make sure that you pay attention to the date on that as well. And I will be posting some expectations for the 12-minute presentation that's coming up next week, because that's going to be something that we're doing that's new this semester. When I was in graduate school in my master's degree, these 12-minute presentations were done live. It was a face-to-face class, and it was basically being treated as, we're in the hot seat for those 12 minutes. So it's going to be a little bit different given that it's online, but it's basically you being put in the hot seat to explain a research article from A to Z, basically steps 1 through 12. So that's it for this week. Be looking for these 2-part videos, and hopefully this helps. Have a good one.